Welcome back. Yes, we'll be talking about what you just saw now, the security breach in NDA, and we've got Commodore Kunle Olaomi joining us here this morning. He's the head Department of Criminology and Security Studies, Christland University, Nigeria. Good morning, sir. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, this is it's one of those blow your cheeks out moments, because lots of people, when they heard it, they just thought, no way, this can't be. But they just thought, well, in fact, some people thought it was fake news. Others thought, nah, maybe there could be some other explanation to this. And then the academy put up this press release saying, yes, it's been compromised. And here we are today. So details are emerging that raises more questions than answers at the moment. But what's your impression of this, for instance?
Thank you very much. My impression, I think, is just the impression of every Nigerian at this point. This is an aberration. I mean, you don't attack Nigerian Defense Academy and kill officers and get away with it.
Yeah.
The last time I was in NDA was in 2017. I went to carry out an investigation by the Minister of Defense. I wanted me to check what is going on with the training and the security environment there. I remember I spent about a week at NDA with the commandant and with the staff, you know. But something struck me, and that was every Friday, the gate of NDA is thrown open, and everybody have access to come and pray in the mosques. And I want to actually enjoin journalists to go to all military formations across the country on Friday by 1 o'clock. You are going to see the same thing happening across all military formations, including Naval Training Command at Papa, including the division in Ibadan, including NDA, including Jaji. I was in Jaji in 1994 for my junior division. And every Friday, our gate is thrown open. And everybody comes in to pray in our mosques. Even though they have their mosque outside. If you go to Defense Headquarters, I serve at Defense Headquarters as the Deputy Director, Defense Administration between 2015 and 2017. Throughout my 2 years at Defense Headquarters, I received visitors only twice because of the strict security architectures at the Defense Headquarters. But every Friday, the gate of Defense Headquarters is thrown wide open for everybody to come in and do Jumat. That is the time the terrorists have the time to profile our security environment.
Has that always been the case?
It has always been the case. I've served the military intelligence for the past 35 years. It has always been the case. Our problem is religion and social-cultural. I mean, people will expect me to come here and start talking about kinetics, about operation and so on. I've been an operational commander all my life. I've commanded warships, I've commanded troops, I've commanded men outside Nigeria and so on. But I'm not going to come to your station to discuss kinetics. The problem is not kinetics. In 2017, 2016, I'm always a member of the Security and Intelligence Brief at the Defense Headquarters. I told them, General Lawrence Shakin then, that the challenge we have in this country cannot be solved the same way we solved the problem of Niger Delta. The Niger Delta problem was solved during Yaradua time, basically by me. And I told them that we can't use that same template for Boko Haram. I told General Lawrence Shakin to look at the center of gravity of the problem. And we all came together. I was made a member of the committee, including Atahiru that just died was a member of that committee in 2016, 2017. And we came to a conclusion after several arguments. The arguments were three. To identify the center of gravity of the problem, one group said it is the fighters, the Boko Haram fighters are the center of gravity, so we should go after them. Another group said the center of gravity of Boko Haram is Abubakar Shekau. So if you go after Abubakar Shekau, then the problem of Boko Haram will be solved. I took exception to the group. I said that is not the center of gravity of the problem of Boko Haram insurgency that we were having between that 2012 and 2017. And General Shakin asked me, allow me, why are you giving problem? What is the problem? Give us the answer. And I told General Shakin, if I tell you the answer, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. He said, what is the problem? I said, the center of gravity of Boko Haram and insurgency in Nigeria are the sponsors of that program. It was beyond us. Because the job we need to do is kinetics. Fight, destroy places, resolve issues. Yep. But we cannot resolve issue of sponsors of Boko Haram that were in Buhari's government, that we know them.
When you say we, who
I was in the military intelligence. Okay. And the defense headquarters staff that I work with, they know. And that was why we couldn't pursue that aspect that could have resolved that problem. Because you need to arrest people. And recently, 400 people were gathered as sponsors of Boko Haram. Why is it that Buhari government has refused to try them?
So the government knows sponsors of Boko Haram?
Of course, it's in the news. In April this year, the government said they have arrested 400 Bureau de Change related people that were sponsoring Boko Haram. They told us. And Abu Dhabi also helped us to arrest few Nigerians. Tried them. We know them. Why can't this government, if not that they are partisan and they are actually part of the charade that is going on, why can't they bring those people out for trial?
So the Bureau de Change operators on the one hand, but you particularly said people in government. Are those part of the Bureau de Change, or those people that you say are in government are still there, government is aware, and government is condoning them?
The people I mentioned that are in government are not these ones they just arrested. You remember this Boko Haram issue started since 2012.
Yeah.
And I was in the military intelligence that time. We arrested those people. It is my organization that actually conducts interrogation and interview. And they mention names. I mean, I can't come on the air and start mentioning names of people that are presently in government now that I know. Presently in government. That the boys that we arrested mentioned. Some of them are governors now. Some of them are in the Senate. Some of them are in Aso Rock. Why should a government try to cause this kind of embarrassment and insecurity to the sense of what happened yesterday? And the solution I gave them in 2017, because when I identified the center of gravity for General Lonshokin, and they couldn't pursue it, because some of them were ministers. And what I'm saying now, the Department of State Services are listening to me. They know them.
Yeah, Commodore.
So the solution I gave them was that if we can't pursue the policy strategic level, because the people that we need to talk to are also going to be difficult to deal with, I said what they should do now is to conduct two things. We should buy blimps. The blimps are not UAVs. They are not drones. Blimps are equipment that can fly up to 10,000 feet, 30,000 feet, static if you want, mobile if you want, and they carry a lot of payload. We saw them in Afghanistan. We saw them in Kenya. This will be something that can give us real-time intelligence, and we can know where these bandits or terrorists, where they emanate from, when they finish operations that they've done, where they go back to.
Okay. Well, let's
They
pick
did
up on,
not buy this equipment up to now.
Okay, you said quite a number of things. Let's pick up on some of them and see if we could make some, if you could shed some further light on some of them. Since 2012, I mean, you've been in operation, as you said, ever since that time. You questioned several people. Some people were identified at that time. Did the government at that time try any of them? Or were any of them also in government at the time?
No, the government did not try any of them, and the defense headquarters where I worked then did not pursue that line of operation because it's beyond them. The defense headquarters, actually, when you look at the defense structure of Nigeria, they lie within the policy strategic level, but basically they are operational guys. So when you have policy problem, then they cannot go beyond their masters. They can write intelligence reports and say this is what is going on. And we've seen that the present government know what is going on.
I'm sorry, is this a policy problem? I mean, the laws are clear. If someone is said to be involved in something as devious as this, the laws are clear. This person is meant to be arrested, questioned. I mean, it's quite clear. So is it a policy problem? We have the laws. So what is stopping the security agencies from actually enforcing the law, since that's what they are?
I think what is stopping them is like when you are a member of a church and your pastor have decided to be at a certain level of spiritualism and you're a member of that church, you cannot be higher than your pastor spiritually. You can't, no matter what you do.
So this is the same religion you spoke about?
Yes. In real life, you see that the defense headquarters cannot conduct any operations that is not sanctioned by the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Yeah. They cannot.
No matter how small, little
they
it
cannot.
is. So
When the Yar'Adua government decided to put an end to Niger Delta militancy, that was in 2007. What he did was simple. He called all the security chiefs and all the intelligence chiefs and tasked them to come up with a solution. The Defense Intelligence Agency, the National Intelligence Agency, the Department of State Services were called with the Inspector General of Police and the Interpol to come up with the solution to the problem. Then the problem was Niger Delta. The president was Yar'Adua. He was dispassionate. He wanted to solve the problem. Within 6 months, we solved the problem. I remember I have to go to Angola to go and bring Herioka, and nobody in Nigeria knew what we did. All we know is that since 27, 28 that we conducted that operation under Yar'Adua, Niger Delta issue has remained manageable. This government does not want to resolve this problem. They are escalating it because of tribal and religious sentiments.
So when you say this government does not want to resolve it, don't forget the same government has purchased. In fact, they're going to induct the Super Tucano jet because of, the insecurity situation. They have, the president has had to change guards, as it were, as a result of people's clamor. I imagine if that was not in the thinking, why would you go that length to make some of the, some of the pronouncements, the meetings that have happened, the purchase, the change of guard and the rest? Why would they do all that if they don't want to sort this?
Because that is not the solution. What you just mentioned is not the solution. When you have a problem at policy level, strategic level, operational level, when you have a problem, what you need to do is to identify the center of gravity of that problem and attack it. That's what you do. What they are doing is not attacking the center of gravity of the problem of Boko Haram and insurgency. So if the president is buying Super Tucano, is changing service chiefs, that is not the solution. We are looking at the wrong side. It's not kinetic. It's politics.
Are you ruling out kinetic altogether?
I can't rule out kinetic because
so it's part of
it's
the
a
solution.
spectrum. It's a spectrum, you know, so you can't rule out something. But the center of gravity is what they should look at. And what is it? I'm saying it on this channel. It is the sponsor of Boko Haram and bandits.
And speaking about the sponsors, you know, when you say the DSS, and yeah, they could be listening to you, but so they profile, part of their responsibility is to profile all of these persons before they either vie for elections or before, excuse me, they are nominated for any of these positions. Doesn't that happen? Don't they get intel and say, look, this and this is what we found, and then we don't think that this should proceed further? Doesn't that happen?
It does. You know, when I worked with the DSS in 2007, because when Yaradua approved the operational order that we did, we now have to work together as a team. He actually forced all of us to sit down together and work together. I was surprised at the tremendous amount of information had by DSS. I was shocked. We in DI, I was in Defense Intelligence Agency, and when they were forced to bring out the files, I was shocked. They have so much information at DSS presently as I'm talking about what I'm talking about. They have. But you see, if a fish is going to get spoiled, it's going to start getting spoiled from the head. The DSS will not do anything except the Commander-in-Chief's body language shows that this is the direction I want to go. That is where the problem is. The DSS has tremendous information. By the time 2023 is here and somebody take over and wants to undo some of this evil that I've seen in this country, you'll be surprised names that the DSS will bring out. They have the information. There's nothing I'm going to say here that they don't have. The defense headquarters have the solution for the kinetic aspect. They do. I'm not going to come here to advise them. I work with them and they're still there. The Chief of Naval Staff was in the intelligence with me. We were together in Defense Intelligence Agency. That's Vice Admiral Gambo. I know these people are good. They know what to do. It's not that they have problems. It has to do with politics, the sponsors, people that feel that this country should be Islamized.
You know, assuming but not conceding that, I mean, that all of this is the case. So what is the end game? Because I imagine as a strategist, that's what you think about too. So these things are happening. What is the end game? So why will this be allowed to fester? For what purpose?
The end game for them, because we did, normally when you want to look at this type of challenges, what you do is that you go through what we call the intelligence circle. Okay? When you do the processing and you do the analysis before dissemination point, you discover that the end game for them is to just turn this country into like a Taliban type of country. And it's a mindset. And anything goes. In other words, 10% casualties, 20% casualties is allowed in trying to achieve the end game of Islamizing this country.
That's for the terrorists, the bandits.
It's not for the terrorists and the bandits, for the sponsors. Because I told you, and I will repeat on this channel, the sponsors of Boko Haram and the bandits are the problems. And defense headquarters, the army headquarters, the naval headquarters, the air force cannot do anything about that. Buhari has to do something about that. The Interpol has the list of those people that are sponsoring Boko Haram. I work with Interpol. They should ask. If they don't know, they should ask. The government of Dubai, they have the list of those people. During the trial of those people that were caught, names were mentioned. They have the list. The government also told us that they've arrested 400 sponsors of Boko Haram. Why should a government not try those people and bring peace and harmony and safety to this nation? Why won't a government do that? Those people that are going to harass cadets and officers in NDA, they live around the place. I know NDA very well. I was in Georgia, I was in NDA as young officers, and I know the area very well. They live around the place. So why can't you put up a blimp that can see what they are doing in real time and eliminate them? Why won't you do that?
In fact, there were more details saying that some persons slept up, but we'll come to that hopefully. Markwe has got some questions for you. Markwe, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Much as we're looking at it looks like we're looking at the remote causes. The immediate causes, I think, is what is worrying a lot of people in terms of the significance of the attack. For some people, they're wondering, what do you think were the bandits trying to pass home a message when they chose the National Defense Academy as the area of the attack? I mean, as the area they decided to attack? Because normally people know that military installations, for instance, if you were to, I mean, you've talked about how the military institutions are usually open to the public on Fridays. There'll be questions as to this attack did not happen on a Friday, it happened on a Tuesday. So the guards were supposed to have been up. So there'll be questions as to what happened, how was the perimeter breached, what about the guards are usually mounted on, watchtowers, what were they doing, were they asleep? There'll be areas where there are CCTV cameras. What happened in those areas as well? There are huge questions around that. And then the significance, what gave these bandits the audacity, the temerity to be able to say, this is going to be the area we want to attack today? Do you have any questions roaming in your head in terms of, what were they trying to really achieve beyond? Because some people say this is not about ransom. Maybe they want to take a ransom, yes, maybe. But it looks like they were trying to send home a message.
Yeah, thank you, Makwe. You just got it right. They just want to send a message. And this is what terrorists do. And what the Buhari government should do is to tag these people as terrorists. What they want to do is to send a message to create fear and to show the military that we can come for you and there's nothing you can do. You may not know, I don't know whether it's out in the news, that the major has been killed. Belongs to some groups, and I know about 3 hours ago his body was found. He has been killed. So it's not about ransom. I just want to confirm to Makwe that she is right. It's not about ransom. They just want to pass a message. We can come in. We can do what we need to do. And there are some hardliners in this government that are sponsoring this kind of narratives. They just want to show that they can Islamize this country. They think about Taliban. They think about the Mujahideens. And they want to replicate it in this country. And they don't care what happened. They simply don't care. As long as at the end of the day, there's Sharia and there is whatever thing they have in their head and they want to achieve. So these people that are sending messages are sponsored by Nigerians.
So if I could follow up on that quickly.
Please go ahead.
This part of what you just spoke about now, the security agencies gleaned this from those who they arrested over time, saying this is the intention.
Absolutely. The intention of it's on the internet. So it's not even about the people we interrogated. The intention is to Islamize Nigeria and practice Sharia. And it doesn't matter if some people die. It doesn't matter if you're embarrassed. It doesn't matter if our economy has degenerated. Look at the interest rate. Look at the inflation rate. Look at the debt profile of Nigeria. They don't care. As long as at the end, the Quran is at the sea. So some people in this country have this mindset. And we must tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you die. If you don't tell it, you die. Some people have this mindset to Islamize the nation. And they are in the government. And people know them. The DSS know them. The NIA know them. The DIA knows them because it is the DIA that conducted the operations that arrested these sponsors. So they know them. Why is the government, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces?
The general area of Afaka, where where the NDA is cited, is no stranger to this sort of attacks. Before now, I mean, a few other institutions around the Defense Academy have also been attacked. Talking about the Institute of Agriculture and so forestry, mechanized division, something to that effect. I can't remember the exact name of the institution now, but we do know that they have been around this area. Now, I'm looking at the front page of Daily Trust newspapers, and they have this, why NDA security was compromised. And the first writer says, bandits leave peacefully. Peacefully is in parenthesis, near academy. There have been questions before now that sometimes, you know, this happened in Jos, around Rukuba, that, there were attacks happening in the neighboring area, and that the military institutions did nothing. The same thing happened when there were attacks on the airport, the airport's residential area in Kaduna. That was very close to the Defense Academy. They did nothing. They attacked the forestry school in Kaduna. They did nothing. Now they have finally come for them, but the talk is that these people have been there all along. They never went anywhere. The bandits who perpetrated this attack have been there all along. Does the military really need, I mean, if this is something that is of concern to the security agencies, because it was only a matter of time from what it would seem that we're reading that these attacks were going to happen, did they really need to wait this long before they took action against people they knew were a security threat to not just them, but also the people around their environment?
Yeah, Makwe, I may also shock you that some cadets have been abducted before now. And when they took these cadets away, and they demanded for ransom, as low as 400,000 naira at that time, the cadets were released after the ransom were paid. And the cadet told them that where they took them to, that they could hear the parade going on in NDA, that they were not taken far away from NDA, that every morning they hear the parade and the programs going on in NDA while they were in the camp of the terrorists. You are right. These people live around NDA. It's about social-cultural issue. As long as you're a Muslim and you speak Fufude or Hausa, you can do whatever you like and fraternize with the military and go in and out of the barracks. You are saying that the attack did not happen on Friday. Of course, it will not happen on Friday, but they have enough time to carry out surveillance. They have enough time to have insiders that will work with them. The problem is that journalists should go around our military institution this Friday and carry their cameras and see the decadence, the security breach that goes on every Friday in all military institutions across Nigeria, and tell the Minister of Defense to put a stop to that. The defense institutions, they are sacred. They are not where people can come on Friday, throw open the gate because they want to come and do Jumat. The truth is that on Sundays, we don't have such, invasion of our premises by Christians to come and pray or to come and do whatever on Sundays. But for the 35 years I spent in the military intelligence, if you go to Tego Barracks in Apapa, it's the same. The Tego Barracks is where I was trained as an intelligence officer. It's the same. On Friday, they will troop in. They throw it open. It's religion. And because we must think about solution, the Minister of Defense should stop this. They should make pronouncement and stop it. Every Friday, people should go to various mosques around them to pray and maintain the sanctity of our military institutions. That's what I
wanted to know if this has been an issue before now. I mean, has this been anything that, the people at the top in the military have found as a source of concern. Let me raise an instance. For instance, we know that at almost every security institution, even on the roads here in Abuja, before you can enter the same road that leads to any military institution is divided in two. There are huge barricades to prevent anybody from just entering, so to speak. This became a source of concern for the military in terms, especially after the attacks on the police headquarters. Has this been a source of concern for for the top brass of the military to say, hey, look, if we're taking these steps to put barricades, then this is also going to be a source of concern for us. What can we do about it? Have they elevated this discussion?
At Defense Headquarters, every Monday, even if you go this Monday coming, you will see they are always there to discuss intelligence and security brief. We discuss all topics there, including the issue of Muslims gathering every weekend. All those barriers you see at Defense Headquarters, and that's why I'm talking to the media. They should go there on Friday. The barrier is no longer there. It's open because it is Jumat. And this is when they come to carry out surveillance. If you look at what happened in Mogadishu Barrack, it was the same. That was the time they went there and blasted the place and killed a lot of people. It's these same people that are allowed to have access on Fridays and become members of the mess because they are, it's a social-cultural issue. So I think we should begin to look, the Minister of Defense should put an end to this, because for 35 years of my stay in the military intelligence, it has been the case. Both naval institutions, Air Force institutions, Army institutions, even the Department of State Services. Once it's Friday, the gates are thrown open, and people come from outside, and there'll be no space. They'll be all over. If you go to Defense Headquarters on Friday, this Friday, you see them littered everywhere.
If I could just comment now. I mean, this conversation is usually quite tricky. I mean, people listening, some might take different perspectives to it, thinking, oh, is this a religious thing? Is this an ethnic thing? They ask, is it only Muslims you have in the military? Is it only people from this certain cultural, heritage that you have in the military? And I'd like us to tackle the issues. You have mentioned what you have called the core, as it were, of the problem. How do we tackle this without viewing it from a religious spectrum, an ethnic spectrum? Because well, Nigeria is quite, polarized across, these groups, ethnicity and religious. How do we tackle it without coming off as though you're inciting people, on those lines?
You see, one thing I discovered in this country is that when it comes to religion, everybody is very sensitive. But the fact I have laid bare is from the experience of 35 years of military intelligence. So I'm not coming to the air to whip up sentiments, no. I have been in the system. I work with Abacha government. I work with Babangida government. I work with Abdul Salam. I work with Yar'Adua Obasanjo. As a core insider of operations, I belong to a group of people that you are not supposed to see, people that you are not supposed to hear, because we have 3 classes of military officers. I belong to the worst group. I lost my family because my family does not have to know where I have been, where I have gone, and I cannot talk. I've seen Colonel Lu here, I've seen Stan Lambo. Some of us belong to that group that we are not supposed to be seen, and we are not supposed to be heard. The truth I'm telling you now is not about sentiment. Is that there are a group of people in this country that feels that this country should be Islamized. This is a fact. Except you want me to start mentioning names of people in this government that we have interrogated. I was a member of an interrogation team, and I've interrogated a very high-ranking member of this government in 2007, 2008 on the issue of Boko Haram. I interrogated him. He's in this government right now. And what was the issue? Boko Haram. And this senior officer was actually let go because he was found culpable. But right now he's in the government. You see, we must say the truth, because if you don't, this country is going down the precipice. We have been set back more than 60 years right now. We've gone back to the time before 1966 now. And whoever is coming back to repair this country has a lot of work to do. This country has never been polarized, so we cannot run away from it. We have never been this much polarized. I'm a federal person. My mind is federal. My brain is federal. My loyalty is federal. I do things for the federal government. So I cannot come here and try to be sentimental. No, I'm a federal person.
So will your life be at risk now that they're hearing you?
I don't care. I don't care. And my colleagues, they know me. Those people that listen to me, they know me. I don't care. The issue is that this country is bigger than an individual. That is the issue. This country is bigger than individuals. Buhari will come and go. Eliminating me or killing me will not solve the problem and will not add value. But he will come and go. And somebody must come and repair the damage to the psyche of this society, the damage to the polarization, to the nepotism that I've never seen in my life. I work with all these presidents. This is the worst situation I've found myself. And believe me, internet does not forget. I was part of the people that helped to bring Buhari to government because I believe in him.
Have you worked with the government after that?
After
you helped bring the government?
Oh, of course, I worked with him. We brought him in 2015, and I work as the Deputy Director of Defense Administration. And we have a lot of hope in him. And we actually are ready to do anything for him. What he has turned out over the years is shocking to us. I was in Harvard in 2014, in December, when the Department of State Services and CIA and others were contemplating about Buhari and other aspirants. I know what we did to convince the American government that the only person that can come and put this country right is Buhari. That was before the Lagos, APC, before they chose within.
Right.
And that was how Tinubu came in. We know what we did, but what he has done in the past 6 years is shocking. It's unprecedented. And it should not be allowed to be swept under the carpet because the damage to the psyche of this country is monumental.
We'll talk more on this, but pardon me, we've kept Mr. Alfred Ononuju waiting. He's a security consultant and the forensic investigator as well. Good morning, and pardon us, we just had to explore some of these positions. So, you've been listening in to what's being said, and then perhaps also read and updated yourself with the current situation concerning that scenario with the NDA. What do you think?
First, let me thank my dear brother as a patriot. He's speaking not to impress anybody. He's speaking as a patriotic Nigerian. He's also expressing his experience at times in service to Nigeria as a nation. May I also condole with the families of the officers and men that were brought down during this attack. It's pathetic. To say it's unfortunate is to make light the issue of what is happening to us as Nigerians and what is happening to Nigeria. The least of our aspirations and expectations was to find ourselves where we currently are as a people. It's worrisome that there has been this, unseriousness about tackling the identified threats. And I believe that one of the solemn pledge of any officer is to protect the territorial integrity of our country. Now, when these territorial integrities are being flagrantly held with contempt and invaded with impunity, I think something must have given way. And there doesn't seem to be a response, a measured response to some of these threats as expected from people under oath, from people who have sworn to protect and defend the territories of Nigeria. Having said that, frankly, I want to thank you for allowing the veteran to just take us down the line. And I think he's been one of the most courageous Nigerians I've met in my entire life. So I give you my compliments, sir. We are worried. I'm a father, I have children, and I'm sure most families are concerned. When you put it side by side with the stories coming from the Middle East, particularly the Afghan story, the invasion of the Defense Academy is a signature too loud. It's something that we do not have an explanation for. And I expect that a couple of things should happen. One of which is that I think the National Assembly, if they are not compromised, should look at the options of impeaching the president. I'm sorry, I'm an APC member, but I think when it comes to the safety of the land, too many things have happened, and they're becoming too frequent that if anyone that truly loves Nigeria is not angry or upset, then the person must be a hypocrite. The person must be a saboteur. Secondly, I also feel that the structure of the Nigerian security should be reviewed. Now, we are going to be careful in making statements because we are in the public platform, being that things people say could be either misinterpreted or taken out of context. However, the truth must be said. We are facing a very dire situation. From a criminal intelligence perspective, it is very unhealthy for a nation of over 200 million, and with the strength of army that is in excess of possibly 200,000-300,000, to sit, watch as these people invade our space.
And Mr. Nanju, pardon me, if I can jump in as well. I mean, you were right when you said they could misinterpret certain things. In fact, they could even misinterpret your call because, I mean, you're a security person and you're talking politics to the National Assembly. So let's leave politics for them to do what they have to do in politics. But speaking about security, now that this has happened, of course, they'll tell us there'll be investigation. They'll look through what's going on. So having heard what Komodo has said, do you think that they can actually be a solution? Will they hit a brick wall, or do we expect any results from any investigation that will be going on?
Well, it will be impossible to think of a solution outside politics because the policymakers are the politicians. They run the show. The president is a democratically elected president. So he depends on not only his political interests, but also structures of the government, which is under the authority of political establishment. So the solution will come from two ways. First is that we have to, like General said, we have to identify where the problem is coming from. And he captured it very well. We are suffering from ethno-religious invasion of the establishment. When we eliminate the unbearing influence of religion and ethnicity in our systems, then I think we begin to promote patriotism. Now, patriotism can never thrive when religious and ethnic superiority, is in front of the border. So we need to first of all look at the moral engagement. We need to come back to the table. And actually, this gives to those who are crying and calling for restructuring in the country, because where we are, it favors a section of the religious interest more than the other. So what we're going to see is a systemic elimination of each other from the two ends, and then it will boil down to ethnic conflict, because when you kill somebody that is a Muslim, he comes from an ethnic group, maybe he's a Fulani or he's Hausa or he's Yoruba or Igbo Muslim, then it will trigger a chain of reactions. Now, if you kill a Christian, like the major that was taken, I understand he has a Christian background. So connotations and all kinds of innuendos and all kinds of things will be coming in. So we are sitting on a dangerous platform. The solution
pardon me to jump in on this. On the lighter note, there's a problem that came from me actually. I mistakenly called you Ononuju instead of Ononugbo, and thank you for understanding that it was an honest mistake.
That's okay.
Thank you for that. Well, let me bring it back to Commodore. Looking at the narrative out there, they got in by 1 a.m. These terrorists, which sometimes they call them bandits, and now you look at the entire procedure, how this attack was carried out, and then they also said that those who were supposed to be manning the CCTV were sleeping at that time. So if you look at all this chain of events, what does that tell you?
Yeah, I think, when you come to tactical operations, the most important element for us is surprise. It doesn't matter whether they slept off, whether the people that are supposed to be inside. I mean, at that time, 1 a.m., they know that they can achieve the element of surprise. Even if after 30 minutes of their invasion of that environment, it will take a lot to be able to respond to such an attack. So don't start looking for who to blame or who to...
No, it's just with the view to correct some of these things. Are they supposed to be sleeping in the first place, manning CCTV cameras?
For an attack, I've conducted attack in Niger. I've conducted attack in Angola. You see, no matter how fortified an environment is, no matter how foreign it is, if you can achieve the element of surprise, you win. I know NDA very well. I know the security architecture. Even if by that time, 1 a.m., they want to respond to that, I know the process. The weapons are in the armory. You need to go and open the armory and start signing. The bandits is not going to allow that to happen. They continue to fire and continue to follow up. And you cannot respond. In any response, you are going to be caught by bullets. So it's not about what happened at 1 a.m. Gentlemen, it's about what has been happening for the past 2 years, 3 years, where these people have been having access, unfettered access to NDA.
So
and they've carried out their surveillance, and they know the right time to strike. It's about 2-3 years back. It's not about now. So anybody that wants to investigate this issue should not look at now. They should look at what has happened in the past 2 years, 3 years, how porous the place has been, and try to mitigate it.
Two issues I'd like to quickly raise. First, do you also agree with the theory of insider collaboration for this to have happened in such brazen manner?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no, we do operations like this too. And there's no way we can succeed without somebody inside. We must compromise somebody inside, either through blackmail or through incentives. Maybe we give money, or we blackmail the person, or we try to indoctrinate that person. We can't succeed without an inside person. And this attack you saw has insiders collaboration. I mean, I've investigated cases like this over the years. And I know 60% of the time, when you see an attack like this, there's an insider there.
So until that insider is fished out, we might have this sort of attack again and again.
It will always happen. There will always be insiders. If you look at the intelligence estimate globally, there are two variations. The variables are the hostile intelligence service, which is external to that country, and the domestic subversive organizations that is embedded in that country. Nothing evil can happen to a nation without the insider within that nation collaborating with the hostile intelligence services that is outside. It will always happen.
If I could just raise this other part. In the statement that was put out, the term unknown gunmen was used 3 times, the 3 paragraphs: unknown gunmen, unknown gunmen, unknown gunmen. Prior to this time, people called them bandits, some even called them terrorists. But is it instructive for you that it was a term unknown gunmen that was used?
It's deliberate. You know, I'm sorry to say that the media is part of our problem.
No, I'm talking about the statement from the academy itself, actually.
The academy also have to use that word to avoid reprimand from the higher authority. I was the commandant of Defense Intelligence College, and I know that at that time there are things I cannot say. If you term them terrorists, it carries a lot of weight, and you can be reprimanded for that as the commandant of NDA. So he is going to be very careful to keep on using that same term that is safe to use, because there are legal and other implications when you term a group terrorists. But I want to say on this channel that those people are terrorists. And if the government of Buhari is serious about putting an end to what we are saying, he must pronounce them terrorist organization. Because once he does, it carries a lot of weight. And the reaction of the armed forces, where I belonged to before, will be completely different.
What was the point you were going to make about the media?
There is nothing that is going on today that is not actually tainted by the media.
How?
And that is why I have to come here and make bold to say what I've said. The media also know 80% of what I've said now, but they will not publish it. They know. I work with journalists. I was Deputy Director of Foreign Liaison at Defense Intelligence Agency. I work with journalists. I was Commandant Defense Intelligence College. I work with journalists. I train journalists in intelligence operations. They know. So why are they not also saying the obvious that will help the security and safety
at that time,
progress of this country?
So at that time that you worked with the journalists and training them and doing all of that, did you give them permission to publish your name as a source if they were going to go to press with those details?
Oh, I did. It was a policy, because you see, when I was made the commandant of Defense Intelligence...
No, because you had said that you belonged to a group that was not supposed to have been heard or seen.
Yeah.
So how did you give them permission to publish your name?
Yeah, because at that time I was holding a different appointment. I've held a lot of appointments in the military. There are certain appointments I will hold that has no connotation with intelligence at all. For example, I was the Chief of Staff Logistic Command for the Navy. That appointment has nothing to do with intelligence. I was the defense advisor to Nigeria in France. It has nothing to do with intelligence. So there are times I hold appointments and I have to deal with journalists. And I must tell you, I can mention some of them. Mohammed of NTL, I trained them because I wanted them to understand that military intelligence is not like a cult. I exposed some aspect.
Even though most of their documents are usually top secret and they tell you can't publish or even access the document, even if you see it by mistake.
No. There are places you process top secret. I mean, if you want to talk about document security, it's a lecture of itself. You have unclassified materials, you have confidential materials, you have secret materials, and you have top secret. There are processes. It's an area of military that you need to do a lot of training. So when we bring journalists in and talk to them, we ensure that they don't see unclassified materials. And it's just for them to understand how the system works. Basically, if you go to Afghanistan, if you go to Iraqi, you see journalists embedded with the military.
But it's not the case here.
I think I tried to encourage you when I was the commandant that we should allow journalists to have access to some of the things we do so that they can say it as it is. Because when I conducted the operation in 2007 in Angola and I came to Nigeria, what you read in the newspapers, what you hear on television and what you see are completely skewed from what we were doing.
So why did they want that to happen here, to embed journalists?
I just think it's myopism. We have a lot of illiterates in the government that don't understand that hiding things in this 21st century doesn't work anymore. They try to hide informations and they try to protect what they think is corruption to me. That's why they don't allow journalists to actually access some of these things, because this is the most corrupt country in the history of this country right now.
Marpa?
Well, sometimes, there are questions as to what usually will happen. I mean, in terms of, before you went into the journalistic exploration and how the media is sometimes a part of the problem. I think that there's an ongoing conversation in terms of how the media can be can be a source of support to the military rather than a hindrance. But before we went into that discussion, I think we're talking about something else. And for some reason now, I think that has finally escaped me. But moving forward, because we're talking about the language used there, the fact that they were branded unknown gunmen, and the fact that even though it was a very short statement, it was used 3 times, in that I think that there was some attempt to try and reinforce the fact that these are unknown gunmen in that very short statement. But I'm wondering, now that this gentleman, the officer who was taken, has been murdered and his body has been found, do you think that there is any hindrance now stopping the military in going after these people? Because in many places they will tell you that people will always dare. I mean, we've seen attacks that have been very daring, even in the most developed places that are considered very developed countries. The difference between there and here is that when you do dare that sort of attack, the chances that you're going to come home or go back or go scot-free are very slim. Here, we are yet to see how directly the people who committed an offense directly are, brought to book or do not go home and get away with it. Do you think that now that there is nothing at stake in terms of how this major, his body has now been found lifeless, is there any hindrance stopping the military from getting the actual people, not just the general attack or attacks that happened days later, the actual people who committed this heinous attack and crime on the Nigeria Defense Academy?
Yeah, I think they're going to get them. No doubt about that. Few days, few hours, you're going to hear that the military will get them. I know how it feels when things like this happen to colleagues. There are times we actually disobey instructions. There are times we don't follow operational orders. when our colleagues are killed in a disgraceful manner like this. Since we know we have irresponsible people at the policy level, that at times we don't listen to them. So I can assure you on this station that the military will get them. They will go after them and they will hunt them down. And they're not going to follow all these mullah, imams, and all those people that feels that it is their birthright to Islamize this country and destroy the essence and the fabric of safety, progress of this country. So the military, they're going to disobey, they're going to go out after them. And as I repeat, in a few hours, you're going to hear, they're going to get them, and they're going to deal with them.
Okay, just one more thing as we wind down. What would you advise Nigerians? I mean, they've listened to you, several things going through different people's minds now. What would you advise them to do in terms of, in the light of all that is going on, how should they conduct themselves? What should they do such that we all can have, at least contribute in whatever way we can to have a country?
Which people are you referring to now?
Nigerian citizens who are not perhaps in the military. Regular citizens.
Are you talking about the civil society?
Civil society.
What they should do?
Yeah.
I think what they should do, for me, the failure of governance is dependent. It's like a variable. When you do a simple linear regression, the failure of a government is dependent on the failure of the civil society. So you have two variables: a failed government or irresponsible government, and you now have at the other side an irresponsible and a failed civil society. This civil society has also failed. You cannot allow somebody to do for the past 6 years what this government and the so-called cabal, whatever you call them, have been doing to this country, and the civil society has been quiet. They have to speak out. They have to come out and resist tyranny. This is tyrannical government. You have to resist it. You don't wait until maybe he leaves in 2023, then you start, everybody will now jump out and start talking. Because the damage this government is going to do in the next 2 years is going to be more than what they've done in 6 years.
All right, we'll have to thank you for coming on, Commodore Kunle Olawumi. And Mr. Alfred Ononugo, I have to also personally apologize to you, but just that we needed to explore some perspectives, but we do hope that, I'm sure you do understand. Thank you very much indeed for your perspectives as well today. All right, we're back in a moment. Join us again.
Section 5, bracket 3B of the Constitution of the PDP, the PDP empower me to summon and preside over party meeting in the absence of national chairman. In the absence of national chairman. 2, our attention has been drawn to yesterday evening court order, which purportedly restrained our national chairman, which is seconded from summoning presiding over meetings of the national organ of the party. Okay. It's not more making. Yes. 3, in the foregoing circumstance, as the Deputy National Chairman South, which is number 1 of the People's Democratic Party, after due consultation and in the exercise of aforesaid power, hereby deeming fit and proper to postpone the National Working Committee meeting earlier scheduled for today till further notice, to allow broader consultation in overall interest of our party.
We're changing gears now to politics. Just when we thought all was beginning to get settled within the People's Democratic Party, then we saw the rumblings that started again. It started with court ruling in Port Harcourt, injunctions that came from the court, removing the national chairman, embattled national chairman Uche Secondos as the chairman of the party. And then we have now seen the deputy national chairman South and the deputy national chairman North saying that they are now the recognized, each one of them claiming to be the chairman of the party. So what exactly, or the acting national chairman of the party, what exactly is going on within the ranks of the PDP, and will they be able to come out of it? We have with us this morning our guest who is joining us from Ondo State. He is Dr. Eddie Olafeso, former zonal chairman, PDP Southwest. Dr. Olafeso, welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you, Margaret. Nice having you.
We didn't think that we'll be having you back so soon. It was just a couple of weeks ago we spoke with you, just when the rumblings were getting rather loud, but we found out that the Board of Trustees, the BOT of the party, would seem was able to reach a compromise of sorts. But it's not yet 2 weeks, and it would seem that the compromise has fallen apart. What has happened?
Quite frankly, Margaret, thank you very much for this morning, but I'll continue to return as many times as possible if it is to throw light on what is going on and to ensure that we guide whatever we're doing at the People's Democratic Party to a very successful national convention come December. It is as strange to you as it is to so many of the party leaders out here, since nobody has broken the arrangement, the consensus reached during the BOT Governors Forum, National Assembly extended caucus meeting in Abuja. And then suddenly this came from Port Harcourt. You know, the strange part of this is that you line up the local government, the state, and the ward, you know, at the same time to suspend somebody without, you know, the knowledge of the party leaders, both at the national level and even in the state. So it's very worrisome. Having listened to your program this morning with Commander Kunle Olawumi, and the existential challenge that is facing Nigeria today, it is so unfortunate that this is exactly what we'll be discussing at this moment. But be that as it may, politics is a process, and we must find answers to some of these challenges. We need one another. Remember, my opening remark when I came about 2 weeks ago is that restraint and calmness and working together can actually bring us to a position where our party will begin to redefine this unfortunate nation that you have listened to carefully from Commander Kunle Olawumi, and all of us can work together. For me, they have failed to adhere to the constitution of the party because I don't think there's a jostle between the Deputy National Chairman South and Senator Nassif, because he is conscious of the fact that 35.3, Section 35.3 of our Constitution stipulates who is in charge. And thank God, Elder Yemi Akinwumi has actually taken his place and is doing exactly what needed to be done. He has called off the National Working Committee in order for him to continue to discuss and consult further on what the party needed to do. October deadline was given. Nobody has broken any rule, and then this won't come. But I know fully well that this too shall pass, because in politics, it's always like this, you know, resolving, you know, issues and coming together to talk about it. I am confident, like I told you within the last 2 weeks, that we shall overcome and that we will go through and, get into a very successful national convention that will bring about new leadership that will prepare the party for the 2023 presidential election.
You know, I love your optimism. Some people say politicians are, I think it's Chamberlain who says that politicians are always optimistic. But when you look at what is on the ground right now, you know, the questions as to whether there's cause for your optimism this morning. You say that you haven't seen the breach or anything that has breached the agreements that they had on the ground. But then there were questions as to, I think this was predicted in some of the papers was it predicted now or reported in some of the papers just last week that it would seem that the agreement that they had was falling apart. And just when that story was reported, we saw the national chairman, then national chairman, because you also seem to be referring to him in past tense now, visiting former President Olusegun Obasanjo in Abeokuta. And there were questions as to what he was doing there. This was just after it was said that it was seen that the agreement was being reneged upon. What exactly was going on then?
He has absolute right to consult. President Chekondo is the longest serving national chairman of the party, apart from devoting about 3 decades of his life in party administration. It's not a tea party. This man, was given an instruction to prepare for the convention, and October was given to him as deadline. I don't know what has happened between now and then, apart from, some of our people still not trying to understand the fact that what is happening now is beyond any individual. It is an existential problem with our country. With the position of Comrade Kule Olawumi this morning and a lot of those who spoke, and your incisive questioning of the situation, aren't we afraid that unless the opposition takes this matter seriously, we might not, get to the end of these issues with our country, as quickly as possible? For me, visiting President Obasanjo by President Chekondo is not. I don't think he has broken any laws of the land, nor the constitution of the of the party. What is on ground is individuals that are looking for an opportunity to have some undue advantage at the National Convention. It is always normal that the National Working Committee will present to the National Executive Committee the processes and that will lead to the convention, and that's what they should be allowed to do. At this moment, Markwe, that we already put out the timetable for about 11 states that are yet to do their own congresses. These people are going to be represented at the National Convention, and unless these are completed, how can you go into the National Convention? So, realistically speaking, there are certain issues that needed to be addressed before we jump into the National Convention Committee that the National Working Committee needed to address. As at this moment, as I'm speaking with you, nobody has come to tell us that this is which is Chekondo's did. An individual cannot make a party. And all of us must look at the face in the mirror and begin to judge one another in a way that will give some certain realistic burden of responsibility to us to do what is right by the party and the Nigerian people. For me, this is not necessary. The pain that our people are going through that has been expressed this morning on your program is adequate for us to wake up, to jump into this and do something for Nigeria. Our green passport is a sign of disgrace wherever you go, and we're not thinking about that. This is the most blessed country, on this planet Earth, and yet look at how far we have gone. I know fully well with the takeover of Elder Yemi Akinwumi.
Dr. Olafeso, let me bring you back to the issues we're discussing. You talked about how there was nothing wrong with him going to see General Obasanjo or former President Obasanjo, that he was consulting. Consultations with regards to what precisely? Do you have an idea?
Quite frankly, the former president hold the A's when it comes to the leadership of this party. And if somebody and they even wrote, openly while they were there, they were talking about Nigeria. And the president said, well, we have bad situation, but they are not irredeemable. So they have actually let you into the insight of their discussion. And I don't think it's criminal for a sitting national chairman to consult with the former president. And the truth is that, 47(1) of our constitution, which is eligibility to contest for second term, is still there. It cannot be denied, except somebody is found, guilty of any criminal offense against the party and the country. He still has the right to consult. So I don't think that should be the issue, Maokwe. Let us be sincere with ourselves. I'm not taking you away from our discussion. I'm just saying
that he was consulting with regards to a second term. Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't. No, I did not say that. I said they were discussing Nigeria. And President Obasanjo himself, and I know you know he's credible enough, said that Uche Secondus did not come to him to discuss about PDP politics, but about the survival of Nigeria. Aren't I equally worried about the situation in this country? So if he goes to see former President Obasanjo, I don't think there is a crime in that.
Let me flip this to my colleagues now.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mark. Dr. Olafeso, I'm still trying to understand, I mean, where you stand. You seem to agree that Elder Akiwumi was right to step in, as it were. You also
absolutely
referring to Mr. Secondus. Yeah, you also seem to be referring to Mr. Secondus as still the national chairman of the party. But I'd like to take you up on this one. You were quoted as saying that this Agbero approach in trying to remove the national chairman will not work in one of the dailies. And you went on to say it has never happened before. So when you say this Agbero approach, I imagine you referred to, you mean Agbero in terms of it's rough, it's not right.
Yes.
Yes. So
yes,
who are you referring to as the Agbero? Are you saying the court's order or the people that approached the court? What is Agbero about this exactly?
What is Agbero about this is the fact that, you see, if you're a member of a party, your guiding, beacon is the constitution of the party. And the constitution is clear as to how an officer can be punished. And, if you're not adhering to the constitution of the party and you're just weaving some yarns to be able to, achieve that, it's a cut and nail, slash and burn that I call Agbero attitude. And be that as it may, as a leader, we must ensure that we stick to the constitution of the party. I just mentioned 47.1. I just mentioned, 35.3. Those, sections of the party, and 59.3 too. If somebody erred and you want him punished, you must go within the defined lines of the Constitution.
I understand the Constitution of your party, but I'm saying specifically, pardon me, that, yes. I mean, this people approached the court. The court gave an order, and you say that this is an Agbero style. So I'm asking that, is it the court order that is Agbero of sorts? Is it the people? What is Agbero exactly? Who are the Agberos? Let me just say that.
Yes, this cannot be. It cannot be the court. I have absolute respect for the judiciary. And that's what exactly President Secondus did. He gave way to Elder Yemi Akinwumi to take charge as the Deputy National Chairman South, who by constitution has the right. And I'm glad that Senator Nassif did not contend the fact that Elder Akinwumi should take over, since the court said that Prince Uche Secondus cannot act for now. So, the Agbero part of it is that, what is the offense of this man? That in one single swoop, local government, ward, local government, and state will, suspend him without even any recourse to the National Working Committee or the National Executive Council, and then he's suspended from the party. That is the Agbero part. And the honest truth is that we can walk through this to a meaningful reconciliation and, come together for the short part in view of the emotional situation and the tragic, things that is happening in our country today. So for me, we can't do that. We must respect our constitution and do it accordingly. Elder Akinwumi came and has respected the constitution and has taken charge. And Senator Nassif, since yesterday, must be working, if all is equal, with Elder Akinwumi at this moment, to bring an answer to when the National Working Committee will call NEC committee, and all of us can sit together on the table of brotherhood to resolve this. Remember, We are not each other's enemies to the point that we cannot talk to one another. These challenges are normal in any human society for you to disagree. But I know, like Bauke said, well, one is unrepentant optimistic, but that's the truth. We're not enemies, and we owe it a duty, not only to ourselves or to this country, to make our party stronger at this critical moment and a defining moment of its history. So that is what I meant yesterday when I spoke with the nation, you know, that please, no matter what you're going to do as a member of the party, you have rights, and others have their rights too, within the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Constitution of the PDP, that you must go through the processes before decisions are taken. I know for sure that because of the land, we eventually unravel this, and we will move on in this journey.
But you know, Dr. Lafeso, I mean, when you say that this has happened before, but we saw the impact it had on the party, because this, again, will definitely impact on the party, perhaps notwithstanding the provisions of your party constitution, which you talked about, Chapter 10, on the disciplinary procedures. But given the egos that are involved in this, do you actually see this being sorted as soon as possible? Because right now, can there still be neck as scheduled? Because clearly it doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
This too shall pass. And I understand what you mean when you said, you know, huge egos are into play. But the truth is that something must temper our attitude, our behavior to our country. Nobody is happy as a Nigerian today. Be you governor, be you senator, be you anybody, be you journalist. A time there was, this country was honored and respected. But what was left of us, isn't that enough tonic to actually realign and rearrange our thinking? Why must it be self? Unless we begin to think about one another, this will not work. But what I can assure you is that now that Elder Akinwumi, you know, has taken over yesterday, let's allow him a couple of hours time to see what he will do. And I'm sure he will arrive at that conclusion where neck will be called, and there will be solution to this. I am very, very confident that this too shall pass. And I kept on saying it. If we have given an assignment to somebody for 4 years and the person is trying to round up the band to complete his tenure, you have two options: to wait through his tenure and then come up with saying that he has done very well or he has not done very well. And you have your choice to make, to vote for the person and not to vote for the person. The National Working Committee that has been in place for the last 4 years went through harrowing experiences. I cited an example when Maokwe challenged me that our party has not done enough as an opposition party. And I said, I have never seen a sleepless human being like Olobodin Okola that has spent all his entire life making press releases. And this moment must be captured by all of us Nigerians, that we cannot leave the issue of opposition to a party. We must oppose bad governance. We must oppose bad civil society. That commander spoke extensively. I was taken aback with such a noble Nigerian that they are still alive and they are still contributing. For me, what is going on?
Dr. Lafeso, we have to thank you.
Dr. Nkemi, okay.
We have to thank you for joining us this morning. We hope, well, you said you're happy to come back here as many times as we wish to bring you back, if it's for the betterment, you know, of the country. So we hope to see you again sometime soon. Hopefully the issues within your party would have been resolved then. But thank you so much for joining us on our program this morning. Dr. Eddie Olafeso is the former zonal chairman, PDP Southwest, and he's joined us via Zoom from Akure in Ondo State this morning. Well, that's where we leave that particular segment, and very soon we'll leave in the show, but not before we take your mails. And we have this one from Festus Akimboyewa, who is talking about the bandit attack. He says the bandit attack on our military institutions like NDA shows that the bandits now possess cohesiveness and momentum, not only to prey on our rural settlers and soft targets, but to strike fear in our military. Hopefully, the attack on NDA will wake up our military and tackle banditry wherever it's found with determination and our full solidarity. That's from Festus Akimboiwa.
Well, look at this one from Demola Alalade, who says the security situation in the country as at today is really worrisome. For me, the government should by now be investing heavily in technology to deal with the security challenges facing the country. Many people are being killed on a daily basis, and many people are living in fear in their own country. This is not acceptable.
Well, Leke J shares his thoughts on insecurity and religious houses in government establishments, saying, why do we have churches and mosques in the business places of governance? Are they created to conduct religious activities during working hours? Go to the CBN, NMPC, Federal Secretariat, Federal Ministries, etc. Says, I won't even dwell on the security risk now because this is clear to the least discerning observer. It is tiring and annoying when you see the huge budgets for these institutions only for them to be rubbished by these religious loopholes.
Well, Professor Nakena has this one on national security. It says we must work together as a people and subsume the inherent brewing ethnicity. Politicians must resist the urge of giving the herders-farmers conflict, banditry and kidnappings an inexorable ethnic or tribal coloration. This is polarizing and divisive. Well, that's what we have to leave it this morning, gentlemen. And our viewers, thank you so much for being a part of the program this morning. We really appreciate your time. I'm Maokwe Yusuf.
I'm Kayode Okikiolu.
I'm Chain Belling, so we'll see you next time. Have a good one.